Keef is pretty great and can be used for a lot of different things. You can make edibles out of it. You can put it on the outside of your moon rocks, outside of your wax joints. You can even press it, get rosin out of it. You can even add potency to your bowls by mixing a little keef in there, or you can smoke a whole keef bowl by itself. They're a little hot, but you can do it. Not all keef is the same and the quality varies. And for the most part, a lot of people's keef is a large mixture of a lot of different strains. So if you're trying to collect more, you're trying to have more keef on hand, there's actually a few things that you can do to start collecting more keef or start producing more keef even from the flower that you're getting. So not everybody wants to collect a lot of keef or get more keef out of their buds, but some people really do. Some people want a lot more keef. So one of the first tricks, you might have heard this one, but put a coin in your grinder, preferably a nickel. A coin like a nickel has smooth edges, so it's not going to get keef stuck into the edges, and it's not going to scratch up the inside of your grinder as easily, because you're going to shake the fuck out of your grinder with that coin in it. What that does, it bangs around it, knocks the trichomes off the walls of your grinder. If there's some stuck in the screen, it can knock some of the trichomes off of that. But shaking it will help loosen all that stuff up and bang it down towards the bottom. Now, I do have to mention the screen on your grinder is a factor. Obviously, if you want to know about collecting more keef, you already have a 4-piece grinder where you can collect keef. But just note that the screen that the keef falls through into your keef catch, not all the screens are the same on every grinder. Some of them use bigger or smaller screens, higher or lower microns. So some of them are going to let more things pass through. Bigger holes in your screen means you're going to get more keef, but the quality of the keef is going to be a little bit lower, because more things are going to pass through. So one thing not a lot of people think about is grind up a smaller amount of bud. Many people would think if I put more weed in my grinder and I grind it up, I'm going to get more keef out of it. But you actually produce more keef when you grind smaller amounts at a time. Let me explain. When you're producing keef, the bud is essentially getting sifted across the screen surface and the trichomes are falling through. If your grinder is filled with bud, you're not going to give every bit of that flower in there a chance to sift over the metal screen. So less is more in terms of keef. And you do want to sift that. If you want to produce more keef, you're going to take away potency from your flower, but sift it across your screen. You can use your finger, or some people keep a guitar pick in their grinder. That way you can just brush it all across the screen. Some of them come with a little plastic shovel or something. But if you drag all the ground up flower across your screen, you're going to create more keef. Now that screen's going to get dirty over time and it's going to get clogged, so you do have to clean your screen. If you have a dirty grinder and you haven't cleaned it in months, you're actually going to get less keef because a lot of those holes in your screen are going to be clogged. They're going to have keef stuck in there. It just naturally gets buildup over time. So make sure you clean your grinder out. There's a few ways to do that. Before you clean it, some people like to put their grinder in the freezer. Some people recommend you leave it overnight, which is an easy thing to do. After you're done smoking, put your grinder in there. If you got a coin in there, it helps this whole process, but pull your frozen grinder out of the freezer, shake it up. The trichomes become more brittle and they're going to fall off the edge of your grinder. They're going to fall off all the places that you're stuck to. In a similar way to if you store your bud in the freezer, the trichomes on there will become brittle and fall off the bud. So freezing them can help you shake them loose in a sense, but that's not going to completely clean your grinder. If you want to get it spotless, you're going to want to soak it in like 91 or 99% isopropyl alcohol. That'll help you get a lot of the gunk and grime off, especially if your screen is having a hard time allowing keef to pass through. So if you can't really see through your screen or it's visibly clogged, give your grinder a nice cleaning. It's going to help you out. Mine actually needs a little bit of a cleaning right now. I notice when I grind bud up, it just gets really keefy in the grinder because none of it's passing through the keef catcher. Not much of it's passing through anymore. And another thing to think about is how you store your bud. If you keep your weed in like a Ziploc bag, you're going to lose some keef in the bag and you're not really going to get it out of the bag. If you use something like a glass jar, it's a little bit easier to keep all your keef. It's not going to get stuck in the bag that you're going to throw away. It's going to be in your jar falling to the bottom. You can freeze that jar to make those trichomes brittle if it gets stuck to the side. But it's not really going to affect that much keef production. It's just going to save you from losing some in plastic bags. So if you want more keef, store your stuff in a glass jar. And a quick cleaning tip, if you have a jar full of keef and you want to clean it, don't start with soap and water. Just spray it with a little isopropyl alcohol. Trichomes aren't water soluble. You need to remove them with a solvent. But there's a lot of things you can do with your current setup probably to collect more keef. But if you're still not satisfied with the amount of keef that you're getting, get a new grinder. There's a lot of different grinders out there. You can find some with different size micron screens. And you might find one that just works way better for your scenario. I've used a lot of different grinders, and some of them just collect way more keef than others, and the biggest factor is that screen. You will produce more if you start sifting your butt across your screen. Not a lot of people do that, but just dragging your butt across the screen will make sure any of that loose keef or those loose trichomes are going to fall through your screen into your keef catch, if that's your goal. But definitely experiment with a couple different grinders if you're not having good results with the one you're using. Definitely make sure the grinder's maintained because those screens do get clogged. And you're on your way to getting a lot more keef. I hope this video was helpful. If you want to come smoke with me, I do live smoke sessions every night on Twitch after 9 p.m. Eastern. Twitch is free. Come get high with me. And if you want to hear why some people don't save their keef, check out this video. Keef can be a wonderful thing, but not everybody enjoys it. Have a lit day, my dudes.